process all this really exciting stuff. If I can get 45 minutes out of this, I'm doing great. I'm going to have some fun with you guys. Who's end users other than Alan I know? Okay, good, because I'm going to show you some stuff that will scare the living heck out of you, because it scared Alan about a month ago. I'm on the release candidate 4.2 demo database. Now, in case you don't know about this, you can get it off of SourceForge. You can get backup databases and see what's coming on it. So this is the product that's about to be released in, let's say, a week or two, 3 weeks. But it's an interesting database because it hasn't had a period close run on it in a long time. Obviously hasn't had any auditing done on it in a long time. And it's got some real entertaining features on it that if you saw them in the real world, you would have an absolute heart attack. And it's part of your month-end process. So I really want to show you guys what's going on with it. Because it's stuck somewhere back in 2011 right now. Okay, it thinks it's, I don't even know. I'm going to show you how to check through period closes, what happens during a period close, and I'm going to show you the results. And it happens pretty quick. I'm running on just a local machine. I'm not on a cloud or anything. I'm just on my local Mac. Right, you're going to see the results of each thing. And then I'm going to show you a little bit about auditing your stuff, how you can go back and find out what's going on, what matches, what doesn't. There's some really other groovy stuff going on with inventory that, okay, it's on yours. But we'll figure it out. But I want to make sure you guys really have a feel for how to start using some of the GL information, how some of the reporting works, stuff that you never really have time to do. You know, I sat through and taught Mike's class and did through Mike's class, and there's only so many hours you can look at so many reports. And the accountants never come to training. I haven't figured that one out. The very people who need the training the most on some really detailed level reports are where I spend a lot of my time in the real world. So here we go. I'm going to give you a rundown. First thing I'm going to show you is pay attention. Right? First thing you have to really pay attention to, period closes. All right? And that's all done off your fiscal calendar. Period close in most other systems is a scary, scary thing. Anybody ever do SBT? All Foxborough account mate? Ever have to reboot your server? In the olden days, you had to reboot your server, kick everybody off, do it on a weekend. Oh my God, did you run backup? And xTuple is pretty benign. So, first thing to check, you should do this every month. Come on, come on. Oh, now we're going to have this spinning wheel of death. I'm having a bad day. I swear, out here in the academy, you've got two options here. Should have been set up, probably when you first got your system, you had this set up by your consultant. Okay? No? I always do this stuff. And I have people who have all kinds of interesting calendars with 445 periods or 455s, or you can set up anything you want. But basically, you've got two sections here. You've got your accounting periods menu, which this one goes back quite a ways. For the most part, it's just dates. Give you information, what fiscal year it belongs to, and what's magic is also where you do your period closes. Right? This does not close your fiscal year, and that's a common problem people will have. They'll be posting year-end adjustments, and suddenly your GL will look out of whack. And I assure you, it's virtually impossible to have an out-of-balance GL. It's possible to have out-of-balance reports just because you didn't run your close. Okay? I mean, you could go unplug the server and it'll freaking still balance. So we can look down here real quick. This has been around for a few years, and we can see that we are somewhere down here. Okay, we're stuck in 2010. So the first thing I would look at is, let's go look at our trial balance or our balance sheet. Let's see if we're in balance. Let's see if we have any problems. Because if this, like I said, is going to be the thing that will scare the living heck out of you. So I'm just going to go real quick. I'll look at my trial balance. Got to get a more button so I can see what period I'm in. And let's just take a quick look at the current month. Okay, who knows how to add debits and credits real quick? Does that look scary? Well, it says it doesn't add up to 0. That's scary. If I just go run a proper balance sheet, that would be financial statements. Or let's go pick the same period. We're in October. 1013. We'll do a quick Trump, come on. What statement, sweet time today. We'll do a basic balance sheet, just
time to update that back.
Yeah, way over time. So they got 344,000 in assets and no liabilities or equity. Something's out of whack. So we definitely have a problem, and I assure you, the first time you see that, if you're the controller or the CFO, you're going to have heart failure and go, "What's going on?" And it's just as simple as some period closes haven't been run. So let's go close 2011. Okay. Let's do this first. Let's turn my email off. That's probably what's causing my grief. Because of this spectacular stuff here. So our first battle is going to be, let's go close some fiscal periods. And we're just going to do them in order. I'm just going to arbitrarily close my periods. Now, the other thing you can do, remember, is you can always reopen these guys, as long as you have the authority. So we'll just do a couple closes. And if you guys have questions in between all my insanity, just go ahead and answer. But you can see how quickly my period close happens. Now, in a really big system, this can take 20, 30 seconds. Year end might take as much as 45 to 50 seconds. I'm trying to think of the longest one I've seen is about a minute. And it's going to force you to always go in order. Now, I'm not freezing the period. I'm not making any attempt to freeze my financials and just block things off. And the next couple of these days, unlike the old days, you can't post to close periods. So this is another reason to get all your work done, procedurally get all your people to get all their paperwork done, get all your receivers receiving, and get all your APs posted and so forth. But if you have to, you can go back up and take care of it. So we're just going to run in. I'm going to go through 2011 because I know there's not really very many transactions here. And now since I'm at a period 12, I'm going to have to go close a year. So let's go ahead and close it. Now let's go check our trial balance and see what we're doing here. Should have fixed it. Yeah. I got a few more balances in there, you'll notice. What just happened was doing the closes took care of all the retained earnings and all the weird stuff that's going on. Okay? It took care of calculating my net income for the last 12 months, and it just took care of all its housekeeping. Period close is the magic housekeeper. Okay, so if anything is goofy in your GL, that's going to fix 99.999% of it. Okay, weird period accounts, weird. I've seen all kinds of weird things, and I come back from version 1.6 or something. I remember when you had to hand edit all these weird tables. So there's your step number one, is make sure your darn books are in balance. All right? If not, you've got a problem, and it's as easy as that to fix. It really is that simple. Okay? At this point now, at least we have a financial statement, at least we have something going on. We can actually see that, yeah, we're in balance, and then we can start actually auditing back some of the other things we want to look at. Okay? Can you guys really see that?
No.
I'm sorry. I swear you've got $4,530.29 in AR. I swear. But the thing I need to check that back against now, and then my next piece of the puzzle, I'm a working capital guy. I want to find out, does my detail match? Does my AR match that? And if not, why not? Well, then you got a different problem. But out here, of course, we've got our aging report. And aging can be run of any given date, but first order of business, now I've got a penny error. I went back and looked, but we're going to go audit that account a little bit, because I'm off a penny. I shouldn't be off a penny. I should be to the absolute penny. So, but remember, it's possible to run transactions through your general journal that are not necessarily going to show up on your aging report. It's bad practice, but sometimes you have to do it. So at any given time, and something I do advise people to take a look. You shouldn't be letting a year go by or a month go by and make sure things balance. All right? You should be checking every day. Make sure that you don't. If you've got a big accounting department, it's a little different than if it's just you. But you've got the fact that the GL is getting posted to and it's bypassing AR. You've got a different procedural problem you need to work on. So it says as of 10/31/13, we've got 45/30/29. I'm going to adjust that date just to be safe. So now we've got a different dilemma. We've got to find out why we have a problem. So aging will go back and it will calculate backwards and forwards too based on date. Your AP aging will do that, your AR aging will do that, and you can set up inventory as of, I don't know, version 4. You can set up quantity on hand and hopefully get that to work too. So your main trick, your next trick is, okay, the aging is gold. The two things you can do to mess with your mind here is one is allow postings AR. The other is how do you handle customer deposits. Now in the demo here, we don't have customer deposits set up as a separate liability account. And this is something that will definitely throw you. There's a little setting that says enable customer deposits. And that seems such a good idea. But what happens is that says I can take cash and save it. And how do I handle the accounting? It's not telling you what's going to happen to the aging. The aging is going to reflect the fact that there's a payment. It's going to have an open credit on there. But if you have that enable customer deposits checkbox, it will not debit cash, credit AR as you'd expect. It will debit cash, credit customer deposits. So it'll credit a liability account. So that means part of your GL could be, if you know you're using that feature, because that is a common way to do accounting, is you have to add 2 accounts together on your balance sheet to make sure that they add up to your aging. I've got clients of mine who have both situations going on right now. And the one I just literally on the airplane, literally in Dallas Airport, I explained, no, you got to add these 2 together, it works properly, and the light went on. She went, oh. I said, or turn that feature off. You know, just uncheck the box and it'll do the accounting. So now we got to figure out, let's go drill down and see what we can find out if there's penny errors showing up somewhere. I actually did this a little while ago. I know that there's some old penny errors floating in there, so I know I could safely make an adjustment. But I want to show you how I think and how I view running my reports. Now you guys all saw how I did that, right, with hitting the more button? Everybody's comfortable with the more button and all the filters that it'll set up? Sometimes that's a hidden thing. But you've got some other options. This is one of the easiest ways. On a right click, to start drilling down and seeing what's going on any given account. So I'm just going to view transactions. Now it's going to assume you want the current month. But I have no idea where this error happened. And obviously I have no transactions because I'm in 2013. But there's no reason I can't go back 3 or 4 years. Let's go like minus 10,000 days. That's one of those other little tricks. I don't know if anyone ever showed you in the counting days forward and backward in the calendar widgets. For this kind of an operation, that comes in real handy. If you know you've only had the system 2 years, you can just safely go back 1,000 days, and you know that'll just pick up from the start of time forward. And I always show the running total, and let's see what we can find out. And at any point, and we can cut this off however you want. You can mix and match this. But I know that somewhere in here I started getting penny errors and some weird rounding errors. But literally, every debit, every credit that ran through the system is there. And you can start comparing this back to your sales journals. You can compare this back to your invoice registers. You can compare this back to your analysis reporting for your sales. Compare this back to your sales tax reports. It always ties out. If there's an error, it's caused somewhere in here because there's, in this one I'm positive there's a rounding error because Vienna Toys is in a foreign currency. I'm positive that's an old rounding error from a currency evaluation. Only because I actually looked and I took half an hour to figure it out. But you can see, oops, we've had ups, downs, and we're carrying a penny error somewhere. So just by doing that quick look and drill down, I can start seeing what's going on. And most of the time you're going to cut it off. And you're going to say, okay, cut it off on the 31st, I don't care about this week. But I've got clients who do this every day. And they do this on their cash account too. They don't wait for reconciliation. They look every day. Easy enough? We do the same thing with AP. It's going to go really fast if you guys stay this quiet, you know that. Can't see it. Come huddle around. I really like having a big screen and stuff. It's much more fun. AP has the same exact set of reports. Okay, you've got to come in and you got to take a look. You can run your AP based on anything you want. Now, pay attention here. The traditional way of doing this, by the way, is document dates. But in some cases, you may have used an alternate date. So you can run your aging based on whatever your posting date is. Some companies, public companies, I think, especially lock things down. If it isn't in, I don't care what the posting date is. Beyond a certain date, it's going to have a January 1st distribution date. It's going into next year. So you got to pay attention to which one you're using. And this demo system, it should be okay, but we're going to find out. Okay, it says we have $1,000 credit. Ooh, this is different from what it was an hour ago, so let's see what's going on here. Back on our financials. Let's go back and look at our trial balance again and see what AP says. Well, it says $1,000. That's actually a good thing. Let's go back 1,000 days and see what we can find. Bingo, we're there. Okay, for once something balanced. That's so reassuring. No questions, it's that easy. Now the last one we're going to look at before we do cash, and cash looks the same way, is we're going to look at inventory. And that's my third piece. And I assure you, you're going to find very entertaining information in this demo.
Ooh.
It's very entertaining. Because we don't have, because this is the manufacturing demo, so it's got all kinds of stuff been done to the inventory. So this demo doesn't have its inventory set up for your quantity on hand report to be as of a date, but I can definitely show you inventory values. And I definitely know we've got some auditing problems in here. Somebody's been messing with inventory, and this one is way beyond the scope of what we can do in 20 minutes. But you'll notice I'm picking up all my quantities. I want to know in the standard cost system you're allowed to go negative. Okay, so I've seen some pretty entertaining things happen where people are shipping product that doesn't exist, but it's all based on the standard cost, so it doesn't care. If you've got average turned on, you cannot go negative. Okay, so that should theoretically prevent people from creating negative lot controls and all kinds. I've seen some really pretty stuff. But you know, you've also got, you know, what is the posted cost? That is supposed to be the average cost. That says go use average cost if we've got it. If you've got your standard cost, that should also pick it up. Sometimes you've got to run multiple phases of these. Okay. You'll notice the inventory value changed from 50-some-odd thousand to 22,000 real quick. We got an average. Now we have a different problem because if you're in a standard cost shop, somebody's got to be maintaining it. Somebody's got to go back and be running the cost roll-ups every once in a while. It doesn't take that long even in a big system anymore. Right. Or actuals, which is supposed to be. That could be interesting too. Actuals is supposed to be the last cost used for transactions, the last received cost. What did it turn into? This one, oh, this one kept it at 22.9. Okay, so that one, this one has some real interesting stuff. I think the developers have been working on this one kind of hard. Okay. I actually I have the real world situation where this usually ties out to the penny, or within a few bucks, as long as you don't have stuff sitting and shipping. I mean, we're going to look at a couple of those because that's the other places where you can get discrepancies. But this should have matched what my setup screens said my inventory is. So this one, somebody's got a real doozy of an audit problem. Okay.
So you're saying the inventory does not agree with GL?
And this one I discovered 20 minutes ago that I was way off. I expected a penny error, and I knew AP would be perfect. It's always been perfect for years. This one is an example of an egregious, oh my gosh, what the heck happened? But this is also the demo software, and literally it has been the same database for how long? About 6-7 years worth of different transactions for tremendous toys, and every new feature has been turned on, and every work order, every kind of inventory adjustment, every kind of thing has been done, and no one's ever fixed it. So I'm just giving you the heads up, the demo software's got some quirks. I fixed the GL. But you do need to go take a look at a couple of places. First and foremost, be familiar with your setup screens. Assuming you have authority, know what your cost category stuff looks like. This is your first place. This is because these get assigned to every item. So you might, in this case, this demo software has five different cost categories and using 5 different asset accounts for basic inventory transactions. So right off the bat, I know, okay, I have to add up all these accounts and find out what I've got in them. So there's my starting point. Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? So at least I can look here and go, oh, got it. Okay, somebody messed me up. Now, other pieces of the puzzle here, remember you can ship product and get things out of inventory, so your inventory on hand report is going to look goofy. But it might physically be in the building. It might really be in the shipping assets category. It might be sitting in the shipped and unbilled. It could be sitting at several stages of the way. So you want to go and check all those points to make sure you don't have anything weird. There's spots where receiving POs that haven't yet been vouchered. Inventory is updated, and your PO clearing is going to be funny. And you can usually figure it out. If you clean it up once and stay on top of it, that's the other advice, is stay on top of it. It's a daily thing. Keep watching it. You will be okay. If you let 6 months or a year go by, you'll be like this. So we got the 1220 account. We should have like the 1210 account. We should have, and I don't think I ever set these up. 1230, I don't usually set these up. Sometimes you'll have a whip type account, but no. We don't have anything funny going on there. So let's go check and see if we've got anything sitting around and sitting in shipping. No, I don't have anything sitting in shipping that hasn't been shipped yet. Let's see if we've got any weird PO clearing accounts. We can look and see what we've got in PO clearing. And you can come at this uninvoiced receipts and returns if there are any. Are none here. So we definitely have some GL stuff. We're going to have to fix our inventory detail and then fix GL match. And that's just really, we don't have the inventory. Or we better go recount. Oh, you guys got quiet. Fixed it. I just brought a GL back into balance for 5 years. I proved to the penny that you got AR and AP, and then I showed you your inventory's gone.
Yikes.
Come on. I don't know. Want to go look? Want to find out? Let's go find out what it is.
I think everybody's just scared now.
You should be very scared. Let's go look at, let's see, where the heck, the dates are going. Let's go look at P&L real quick. Let's take a look. I don't know. Go month and years.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Nope, not making any money. Let's try 2011, since that was the year we were last known to be posting anything. Oh, man, $11 million. Okay, what do we? It's just not. I don't have screen. I don't have resolution anymore. I used to be able to see it squared. It won't let me shrink. It literally won't let me shrink my screen.
Next one.
You can try it. There we go. Yeah, so we made some money. Okay, so in that case, I may not be too worried about my inventory. We just have understated our cost of sales by $400,000. Now it's only 70-some odd thousand. We had, I think the GL said 355,000, and the report said 55,000. We have a little discrepancy. And the last piece of your puzzle. You guys really want to see me do bank rec, don't you? That's what you're really waiting for. That's what Alan's waiting for. Ask Jim how I feel about this feature. It's my debate. I have clients who do this every day. Okay? They literally check their bank, reconcile, and do their cleared stuff every day. And it's mainly because there's a couple little quirks, and it has to do with posting dates and the actual dates of your invoice. The actual dates of your cash receipts. That's the biggest heads up I can give you guys. When you post cash receipts, do it every day. Enter your cash receipts and do it every day. And what that'll mean is that the bank rec date here will match your bank deposit date. That it uses that activating that post button on cash receipts. That way your GL will always stay in whack. And it won't be a problem. And usually there's a lot more details. You've got to get your ending balance to figure out what you're trying to balance to. So in this case, I don't know when I'm going to make something up. But then it's just a matter of hitting your clear buttons. What's clear is like QuickBooks. Now a couple of, and these will balance. I just went through this with a marketing company, and they do work. You got to hit the update button. So I'm going to have to maximize this screen too. Where did it go? see the bottom of my screen here? I swear it's telling me that we're in balance. Without it, it tells us there is a little bit down here. We're out of balance, I swear. I need a better screen. Down here, there's a couple buttons saying how far out of balance you are. I swear, and if you're out of balance, it's in red. If you see it on your own screen, you'll see it. A couple of important things. Now, as you're clearing things off, hit the update button. That updates the totals down here that I swear you'd have if you could see them. I swear. The other thing is be careful. If you hit reconcile, it's assuming you're doing the formal reconciliation, that you're really using this ending balance, and it's going to save this guy, and it's going to make a report out of it. Because these are all just basically journal entries and GL transactions anyway. But if you've ever done that by mistake and had to recall it, tell us.
No, it's not fun.
So the answer is always hit the which button?
The save button, and you never want to hit the cancel button either, because then you've got everything else that you just did is gone. And I find it very frustrating. I do it in
Where's
Excel.
Ned?
I've never heard that before.
I do it in Excel.
Well,
Every client.
every time. This does work if you're disciplined. This does work properly if you're disciplined. But it's save and update. Those two buttons, I'm going to get the screen receipt. And Missy's giggling because she's like, oh, I'm saving.
Did I hear a horrible word? Excel?
Yeah, horrible. Oh, they send it out to LibreOffice. Basically, if you're not going to do your posting every day, this is going to be very cumbersome. That's really the truth. Because the cache date is weird to figure out. Okay? I swear, it's really challenging.
Do it
to
on a
get
monthly
one.
basis, it's just not.
No, if you can do it every day. Now, I have a couple clients that do it every day, and it works perfectly for them because they really are managing their cache. They really are going through it. They really update it, and then every once in a while they hit the cancel button and go, "Oh heck!" And those aren't the words they use. They are using because they'll spend half an hour a day to make sure cache is okay, everything's cool. Yeah, I can see the new checks. I can see what cleared. Everything's good. And hitting cancel wipes everything out and makes that screen blank as if you were just starting a new reconciliation. So you'll only do that once or twice. Right? Once or twice.
So did Excel.
Okay. Now, the way I do it is exactly the same way. I come back to my GL reports and I grab a transaction report. I find this easier. Let's come back and I'm just going to get the cash account. Okay, so just grab cash. Go grab our cash eBank. Let's go grab 010111 to 013111. I don't have any. Let's go back to 10. We really need to update the demo. And this will tell you exactly how you got where you are, and you can always export that guy. Okay? You can always export him right out. And believe me, this is really trivial. You can do this every day just as fast as the other screen. With a lot less pain because you're never going to mess this up. And you can easily cut it off. If you also you can cut it off for just, show me what happened the 30th. Okay. I'm going to have to go back in time. You can pick up a particular day. This report is a little different. Remember that when you come in through the GL, when you come in through the trial balance report, it assumes the whole month period that's in your fiscal calendar, where we started 25 minutes ago. It's assuming the fiscal period. But you can always override that. But you can pick it up on any date and just import it, export it. Yeah.
So Dan, when you hit the reconcile button on the bank rec sheet, what does that do internally? Is it marking the checks as cleared?
It's taking all, yeah, it's exactly right. It's taking all the things you've just marked as cleared. It's taking that beginning and ending balance and it's saving it into a report, into a reconciliation file. And it's advancing the next reconciliation. So it's taking what the ending balance and making it the beginning balance. And there's no way to go back and retrieve that.
So you said that when you hit reconcile, the report is generated. Where is that? Because it just disappears.
Oh no, there's reports out here. You can actually go get the bank rec history reports. Okay. these can be entertaining too, just depending on how old and how long they've been run. But you can grab them right there, and it'll show your debits and credits, and it'll make sure it balances back. Okay. You can pick up you can also, sometimes the detail report gives you too much detail. There's actually, and I'm not talking out of school because we've seen a lot of improvements in this report in the last three releases. We put a lot of emphasis on making this more usable for accountants. It was a report only geeks would love before because it gave you every bit of detail forever more, and you never wanted it. But you should also be able to grab the summarized history, and we should be able to just get some kind of a date out of it. Let's see from the last time it was closed. Okay, it's not going to give us much. Okay. Let's see if we can print that report too real quick. I'll go grab one of the history reports from. And we'll print it out. What was the quirk, John? Jim, if we showed the unreconciled, there was something where if you included it, it would pick up transactions from really weird dates, and it would drive you crazy. I think that was but that's an old quirk. I'm pretty sure it's gone away. Yeah, we actually have something that looks like it balances now. Okay. Shows you how they got there. So I personally, and I've had, I'll say it to Ned too, I really prefer doing it the Excel way. Because ultimately, it's way easier. I can get my debits, I can get my credits, I can simply delete off what I know is cleared. It takes 2 seconds, it's done. It's trivial. And most accounting people are more comfortable with that tool anyway. But it's up to you. Okay. That's pretty much it. Any other things that you've run into that I might help you with?
Do you have the as of quantity on hand switched on this one?
No. We can turn it on if you want and see what happens. This demo is as fresh off source forge as you could possibly get. But we can turn it on if you mess it. It better if you mess me up and this takes more than 5 minutes to run.
We've got 15.
We got it's 12:46. Okay, here we go. It worked. Now we'll see if it works.
Do a rescan?
Let's see if it works.
Do a rescan privilege.
I think I have to log back out, log back in, don't I?
Yeah, we'll rescan.
I have my good days and my bad days. I'm getting old.
We're looking on this screen.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay, so now it's got accounting
so it's
periods.
gonna
It doesn't
go.
have that. It doesn't give you funny numbers.
That one's been corrected. The as of had to interact with a lot of cost history and things. That one's had a lot of work done to it.
Yeah, but that's giving you transactions for the whole period, not for as of a date.
It's supposed to be as of the close of business 11/30/12.
If you,
That's what.
so
it's
whatever
supposed
is
to
the
be.
quantity it says here, and then you run an as of report, so today, you will find a big difference.
I believe that's gone away, but we'll try it.
That's good.
But to understand, that's, okay, so that's as of your financial periods.
Yes.
End of accounting period.
Okay.
You run an account.
It's been staying at 22/9/07/23. Now I'll turn the as of off and run it as of the moment. Oh. Change to my standard cost is 22/9/07. I got a couple pennies different.
Oh,
So
that's 420.
that's 4.2. This is a 4.2.
Because
So it's a
on
lot better than-
402, it's still like.
Try a couple pennies. Standard versus posted cost. And 4.1 and prior.
Just on the whole-
This is a real fresh patch. So
If there's any,
Quantity on hand with the whole month's transaction.
there's a combination effect. This is just, I don't want to talk about bugs in a report, but there is a combination. If you have average and standard cost items mixed in or something, it did something.
it's hard to calculate.
Set it up average, please. Set it up average. It works great.
Can you talk a little bit more about customer deposits and enable versus the not enabling, and what happens if you decide to uncheck the enable?
All that's supposed to be happening is when you do a customer deposit here and you have them enabled, this is just, and you're not applying it anywhere. It's just gonna come in, it's gonna debit cash. Now, if you have customer deposits enabled and have that checkbox, it's gonna debit cash, it's gonna credit customer deposits, whatever you call the customer deposits in your setup screen.
Right.
It's a liability account. Okay, so you'll end up,
That's for non-applied cash.
yeah, it's unapplied cash. What happens though is your aging report will reflect that payment.
That's probably
Okay.
where I'm running across.
So if you add the asset account for accounts receivable and deduct, usually it's a negative, deduct your customer deposits account, those two added together will suddenly magically add up to what your aging shows.
And in this, if you have it set up, how does the liability account get liquidated?
Oh, actually using the credits gets rid of them. It seems to do it, because I had mine set up that way by mistake. And I started going back and you do the apply credits. When you start applying credits, it starts doing the debits and credits correctly. But they offset each other in that case. It's going to debit the liability credit AR again. Yeah. So it ends up netting out okay. Okay, so we debit one credit together, so it nets
So
out.
if you don't have customer deposits enabled and you have unapplied cash, what do you generally do with it? Do you,
Just going to live out here in the unapplied credit memos.
It ends up as creating credit memo and crediting accounts receivable.
Oh, you mean if you don't have the feature turned on? Oh yeah, it debits cash and credits AR and creates a credit memo. It's just like it was a regular credit.
which is probably what I want to do.
Well, your auditors will say that that's inaccurate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it depends on who your auditor is.
I don't have one. I do an internal, I do an external.
In my mind, this is the way to do it, but Alan, you come from the public world, tell me, which way do you guys want to do it?
Yeah, you wanna set up a liability, because that's what it is.
So, what I
This is one of those ones that's a style.
You are setting up a liability.
Say that again?
Well,
No, it reduces your asset by the credit note.
it's going against an asset instead of creating a liability, though, so you're kind of netting.
It's,
That's it.
it's really technically correct to put it to a liability account, but what's important to know is your aging is gonna net out either way.
I think I have-
That's your auditing step, is your aging shows it, the request my other customer had was, gee, is there a way we could take the aging and exclude cash deposits? Okay.
so
We can throw that into the mix and see if it makes the top 30.
what I suggest is you take the financial report writer and create a special report that subtotals all the accounts that tie back to your control reports. So that you
I could live with that solution.
you run the report and it takes the AR and the customer deposit and that's it, so you can see what you're tied to.
If you guys haven't played with the financial reporter, you can build all kinds of schedules for yourself. Because a lot of people will just take the trial balance and spit it out to Excel, because if you've got multiple companies and things, that's the easy way to handle things. But yeah, it's easy enough to format that kind of stuff up. Where literally, because it's just debits and credits, it doesn't matter. I've just seen that done for other purposes, but it worked fine. Because you same thing with inventory, because you're going to have work in process inventory, inventory shipping, and inventory in various warehouses, and you got all kinds of things to add up. So.
Yeah, but you gotta give the shipping asset and the working process do not show up in the quantity and hand reports.
That's correct.
So,
Did you hear that? The couple of reports, the shipping reports, once you issue something to shipping, it disappears from your inventory on hand report. Even though it's still physically there until you actually ship it. It moves to a shipping asset. That's what that accounts for. So if you've got a balance in there at the end of the day, something's funky. There better be stuff on your loading dock waiting to be shipped. That thing should zero out at the end of every fiscal period. Okay? It's like work in process on a manufacturing plant. You better have open work orders to match up that work in process and figure out what's going on. That's a tough one. That's a real tough one, because we don't have a real clean audit. We don't have a real clean, show me what's on the floor report right now with the cost history. You have to manually do that work.
it's actually on the desktop.
Is it now?
The desktop screen actually totals the value
Where is it over on the
manufacturing.
Really? That's a new one.
Work orders.
Oh, cool. That's a new one. I did not know that was there. That's awesome. I've been doing this a long time. Thank you. I learned something new today too.
They sneak stuff in there.
When the heck did that get in there? Wow.
About 2 years ago.
Around version 4. Yeah. Oops, we missed that one. Oh well. That's another way people manage their banks too, by the way. You can do that on the accounting desktop. It'll show you your bank account balances. I swear. Turn the desktop on. It does, and it will let you drill down to your GL too. Or your reconciliation. So, some people like that, yeah.
So, on the closing, you can obviously, if you close a period, you can unclose it, reopen it. Can you do the same thing for closing a year?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And
That
there are no
one,
repercussions from that. I mean, there's a lot going on with close a year, right? I mean, it's closing all the temporary accounts.
it's just summarizing and creating a starting balance, recreating the starting balance for retained earnings.
There's only one thing you need to be careful with is make sure January is open when you close the prior year.
The old myths go away.
Okay.
The IT people reinvented closing years ago.
Say it loud. Say
No, I
it
was just
proud.
saying IT people reinvented what a close was years ago.
Yeah, this
They
is.
added a whole lot of things to it that weren't real. Or had nothing to do with accounting.
In the olden days, you used to add up your ledgers and make a journal entry and
Yeah.
closing entry. It doesn't do
He was
that.
asking about temporary accounts for closeout and all that jazz.
It just summarizes it and calculates a roll forward account that I think I set that up for you. It's like, here's your retained earnings account. And you can post that retained earnings, but it knows the difference between the temporary summarized ones that it created. And that's exactly how you get out of balance. Usually you're doing some kind of a year-end adjustment and it hits an expense account and then retained earnings doesn't reflect that.
They just got
And that's when things get wacky and you'll have heart failure. And that's like, oh yeah, I gotta close the period. So pay attention when you come to your fiscal year end. That's the other thing, is pay attention to your fiscal year ends. And be sure to set up your calendars in advance. In your case, you really want to do them way in advance. I think I did them through 2014.
There's a
If
downside.
you have budget periods where you have, short and long weeks of months.
There's a downside to that. If you have a period that exists, you can post to it, and you may not know it.
If you don't,
I've done it.
Well, you can't close it because you have to close everything prior to it.
Yeah.
That becomes a problem.
but, I mean, those are good gotchas. In older xTuple, you had to actually tell it by account that you could post to a closed period. Instead of just saying, no, it's a closed period, you can't post to it. I used to make some real entertaining financial statements too.
So how far ahead do you go? How far ahead do you open?
Only as far as you need to, I would recommend.
Typically a year.
Only as far as you need to. If you're not gonna post anything to the end of the year, there's no reason to have that period when you need it. You know?
The good news is you can't post to 2026 instead of 2006.
Where I typically find it's a problem is in January when you're still
Exactly,
posting stuff.
that's what
You're gonna
happened.
have
Put it in December of this year. and-
Yeah, they were trying to post it to last December, they posted it to the future December, then their inventory was out of balance, they didn't know why. Or something, I kind of remember what it was.
The weirdest one I saw is way in the future.
Yeah,
And xTuple controls that now. They didn't used to. They used to say,
They
well,
go
it's a
over.
date. It's perfectly okay to me. And I literally have
just a warning or hard stuff.
no, it's a hard stop. It says you can't post to an invalid period. It just says,
Oh,
sorry, won't do it.
invalid, yeah.
Yeah, it just says, sorry, won't do it. One of them says closed, and one says, sorry, that period doesn't exist. I literally have an account that has I want to say it's a 2020. They got an English from an English company, so they swapped the dates and months. And it went way out, And the joke is, if any of us is here 20 years from now, I bet we won't worry about it.
But the question is, why do they create all those periods out that far?
Yeah.
Well, here, this has just got 7 years, 10 years of data.
But why would you have it out that far?
No, in their case, they were on an old version of xTuple that didn't have the block.
So they actually create a transaction in a period that didn't exist?
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
It took a while to find.
Interesting.
That's when we requested the feature enhancement, and now it says, no, I checked. It used to just check that it was a valid date. It says, okay, that date exists on the calendar, that's good enough for us. And we'll summarize it when you close it, and now that doesn't happen. We have a lot more control now than we did. GL's come a long way. Remember Ned's little talk this morning about how far GL's come? I remember when there really wasn't GL. Not much. There's not much of an accounts payable. Okay? think we have any.
Well, it should, but it's one thing you should look at before the close. Because if you,
Oh, we do, look at that. Somebody's been making, ooh. Somebody, let's post it and see what happens. Cannot post because the accounting period dates are closed.
You just closed it.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Just wonder if I have any unposted purchase receipts.
well, you gotta be, you have to be careful, because if you open the period, it's going, well, you have to try to post them.
Oh, is that right? You've already run that, it'll just
Yeah.
drag it through as soon as you open?
It'll warn you that there's unposted transactions that are posted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is all too, I'm not gonna open up that many periods. You guys will fall asleep on me. All that heavy
But it could be that they're on the.
Are we good?
We're good.
Thank you.
Kenny's exciting stuff, isn't it, guys?
My signature.